to. Great. Thank you, Lisa. First of all, I'd like to call the meeting in order. I want to say just some administrative household kind of things that we need to take care of. Turn your phones in silent mode. Turn off any distractions, background TV noise. Place your mic on mute unless you're speaking. If you want to speak, please raise your hand. Remember to reply to Lisa's invites all the time. I know today we had some responses on WhatsApp. That's just, to communicate some of our pictures or just things that are not related to meetings. So please be mindful of that. So Lisa, can we have the attendance?
Sure. Am I off of mute? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, a little bit slow, but we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. I have Director Poi, Chair Takar, Commissioner Shergill.
Yes.
Jennifer Frederick is our guest. Commissioner Shaw.
Present.
Commissioner Taka.
Present.
Commissioner Khan. Commissioner Ulrey.
Present.
Rafiq.
Present.
And Commissioner Nawaz.
Present.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Now that we have a quorum, first of all, I'd like to put to vote today's agenda. I'm sure you all have received that. Anybody in favor, please say yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
First, you want a motion? Somebody needs to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Okay,
Second.
Vice Chair Nawaz is making the motion to adopt the agenda.
And I second.
Commissioner Fahim Rafiq is seconding the motion.
So anybody nay? All yays?
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So moving forward, we'd also like somebody to put a motion to approve the minutes of meeting from 4/9/2025.
Chair Preet Takar?
Yep.
We have one commissioner who is about to join the meeting. Would you like
Okay.
to wait for this commissioner?
Sure. Shushma, I think she just came on, right?
Yes. Lisa,
Yeah.
do you have Sushma?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So can somebody please put a motion to approve the minutes of meeting for 4/9/2025? I'm sure you
Motion.
all reviewed it.
I
I'll
give you the
second.
motion.
I second.
Everybody in favor, please say yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Anybody nays? Great.
The motion
Who
is
was
passed.
first? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Who was the first person to approve the minutes?
I believe it was me, Nivea Ori.
Thank you. And then second,
Sushma.
thank you.
Great. Okay, we'll now move to the next thing, hearing our opening remarks from Christina Poi, our Administrative Director of GOC. So Christina, if you could please say a few
Thank you,
words.
Chair Takar. First of all, want to welcome everybody for our first summer commission meeting. Congratulations on that. We have a quorum, which is great during the summer months. And I just want to remind everybody that we actually want to see your lovely faces. So if you can put your videos screens on so we can see you in the meeting. This is something that these are public meetings. We would love to see your faces, and we understand that sometimes we are in circumstances where you may have to start off driving, but we want you to actually be in a safe environment to be participating in this meeting and not have any type of distractions or let this be a distraction to you. We understand that sometimes people may start out in the car, but we want you to get safely to where you are to be participating in a safe seated position. And we don't want any distractions. As the chair had reminded us, we want to have the mute on when we're not speaking. And we want to be conducting our meetings in a professional environment. So if you are in your home, please be in a place where there aren't maybe family members in the background, and things like that. So with that being said, I want to move on to our guest presenter. We have Jennifer Frederick, who will be presenting today. Jennifer joined the Maryland Office of the Attorney General in the fall of 2023 as a counsel to the Maryland Commission on Hate Crime Response and Prevention. As an Assistant Attorney General working on ensuring that there's no place for hate in Maryland, Jennifer supports the Commission in its work, as well as being a part of developing tools, outreach, and trainings to help community members, state and local institutions, law enforcement, and organizations representing communities targeted by hate crimes addressing instances of hate. Jennifer received her Bachelor of Science from Spring Hill College and a Juris Doctor degree from University of Maryland, Francis King Carey School of Law. Jennifer, are you ready to present?
I'm ready. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Okay. There we go. Okay. I'm assuming I'm visible unless somebody tells me otherwise, or my screen's visible unless somebody tells me otherwise.
We can see the screen. Thank you.
Awesome. As Christina said, I am Jennifer Frederick. I am the Assistant Attorney General that works with our Commission on Hate Crime Response and Prevention. I am located within our Office of Equity Policy and Engagement in the Office of the Attorney General. And I'm here to talk a little bit about what our office does to try to address hate across the state and ensure that there's no home for hate in the state of Maryland. So a little bit of background before we get started is a couple of definitions. A hate crime is a crime including the threat to commit a crime committed because of another person or group's perceived personal characteristic or group membership. The other thing that Maryland keeps track of is our hate bias incidents. Hate bias incidents are any act of hostility or aggression that's motivated by bias against a protected class, but it doesn't constitute a crime under state or federal law. This is what I usually call awful but lawful. These include actions and words that are slurs and hateful language, but they are not against any law. Oftentimes, these are protected by free speech. And the protected classes in the state of Maryland are race, color, national origin, gender, gender identity, religion, sexual orientation, disability, or homeless status. So that is, some of those are specific to Maryland. Homeless status in particular is one that you don't see often in other states, and you certainly don't see protected in federal litigation, federal legislation. But it's a broad group of protected classes under our hate crimes statutes. So that's a little bit of background going into this conversation. The Office of the Attorney General has been active in this space for a number of years. In 2016, we launched our Hate Crimes Hotline, which acts as a resource for Marylanders to call into if they've been a victim of or impacted by an incident of hate, so that we can help direct folks to where they might find resources, where they can submit reports and similar. In 2020, we issued guidance on reporting hate crimes and bias. And our office received a 3-year grant from the Department of Justice. It has since been extended to address hate in Maryland following increased activity. So at that time, it helped fund our what was our hate crimes task force and has since become the commission that I'm counsel to. It has funded a law enforcement training portal that we're developing, and funded a hate crimes and hate bias incidents web portal that I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a minute that our office manages. And we've been conducting regional hate bias forums across the state to talk with local law enforcement and community members to answer their questions, hear what they're seeing in their communities, and provide that foundation of understanding for everybody in the state of Maryland as a starting place to set us up for future conversations about addressing hate, and also to give our office a better understanding of what folks are seeing, because we recognize that Maryland is a very diverse state and looks very different depending on where you are. As I mentioned, the task force later became our commission. The commission is tasked with evaluating state laws and policies on hate crimes and developing strategies to address and prevent hate crimes and hate bias incidents. So beginning last year, we issued our first report to the Maryland State Department of Education and the General Assembly about addressing hate. Some of our recommendations from last year include giving a better definition of hate bias incident under the law, as that is not currently something that is too clear, and we hope to rectify that so that everybody can start with the same legal foundation and it's easier to point to in our statutes. And then in June of 2024, we launched our No Home for Hate portal, which houses a number of resources and looks like this. The portal has all of the information about upcoming events, as well as resources in addressing hate, what different steps look like, different definitions, and all information about any meetings or events that the Hate Crimes Commission is involved with, including our forums, past meeting minutes, recordings, and committee meeting minutes. This portal, mind you, I'm going to talk a little bit about a reporting form in a minute, but the portal itself can be translated to any language that Google Translate is available into. It can use those functions to translate the portal because we update the portal regularly. Now, this also houses a reporting form, the beginning of which looks like this, which is translated professionally into the 11 most commonly spoken languages in the state of Maryland. The reporting form does not change regularly. We had it professionally translated so that we are certain that it is understandable and is accurate to what we're trying to say, because we recognize that Google Translate does not always get those intricacies that we want it to and varies on accuracy depending on the language. So that was we want to make sure that this form in particular is accessible to everybody or as many people as possible, and does not change. The portal with all of the other information does change regularly, so we use Google Translate at this time. A little bit about the commission. It contains a number of groups across the state. Law enforcement, the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights, the different LGBT+ groups representing a number of races and immigrant statuses, members of the general public, religious groups, school safety. We try to have folks from all walks of life, from different backgrounds professionally, as well as from folks across the state and from all protected classes. So we're trying to cover as much ground as we can with about 25 members. Part of the thing that we do to help and encourage others to be involved if they are not an official commission member is that we have our committee meetings. Committee meetings are open to the public for attendance. They are all virtual, being as these 5 committees get together about once a month. Not always, that is usually the goal. The committees are addressing hate bias incidents in schools, restorative justice, community engagement, online and cyberbullying, and law enforcement. Currently, we also have a work group around trying to figure out if there are other places besides local law enforcement that hate bias incidents can be reported, so there's non-criminal acts of hate, as we recognize that there is historic distrust with law enforcement, and finding other steps to help people find the assistance they need when they've been impacted by non-criminal hate is important to us. So we're assessing if there's other ways that folks can make those reports. So this is just a little bit of what we do, and this is an overview of different resources, including my email, as well as our hate crimes hotline. Our office also has a Stop Hate email, and a link to our portal. And I need to fix this because our portal does not work if you put www at the beginning, and I'm not quite sure why. So I will put a proper link in the chat when I pull this down. But it also has our Civil Rights Division, which does some work and can help address pattern and practice cases, as well as the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights and a number for the Maryland State Police. But those are an overview of resources, and I am always available to help folks figure out where they need to go when an incident of hate unfortunately occurs. And I would like to open the floor for questions while I put the proper link in the chat, because this is an old one.
So this is Ahmed Nawaz. Actually, I am guilty that I'm sitting in the car but not driving. So just let me put it this way. So I have one quick question. From the commissioner's perspective, if somebody reaches out to us for a hate crime, then how do we reach your commission? Through that email, or is there a direct number where we can call?
So you can reach it through the Stop Hate email. You can also reach it through the Hate Crimes Hotline or the reporting portal. You can also reach us through emailing me directly. And I can put all of those in the chat as well so that it's easily accessible for y'all.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you.
I think what I'll do is I will send out the contact information to all of the commissioners so that those who may be absent this evening will also have it.
That would be great. Yeah, I tend to work with all of those resources, the Stop Hate email, the Hate Crimes Hotline, and our reporting portal. So even if I'm not the person that directly sees it first, I will see it, or somebody will alert me to it, and it will make it to the commission.
Because from our perspective, I think the most important thing is in a hate crime situation, real-time approach will be very important. And as fast as we can act upon it, we can stop that process as soon as possible. So I think from the commissioner's perspective, reaching out to you guys will be very important. And how that is the most important information we can have. All right, great.
Fair. And we are not the first responders. That will always be law enforcement. We act as a resource to help you figure out where you need to go, or to help have those conversations if you're confused about what comes next. But absolutely, that you are incredibly correct. That timely response is really important when something occurs.
So Dr. Khan has his hand up. So Dr. Khan, would you like to?
Thank you, Chair Tapar. Jennifer, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time. I have tracked OAG for quite a while, and at least in the last 10 years, your office and your department has done wonderful things. So with that, I'm going to bring in some concerns, but please know that my first point was much more valid, which is I love what you guys do, but I think we are always don't want to be stagnant and we want to improve.
Great.
So, so my first, and by the way, so there are going to be a bunch of concerns, some of them not as relevant, some of them probably merit to that maybe quick action on your part as well. So the first concern is the reporting form itself. You talked about Google Translate, but if you go to the reporting form, I don't know. So for example, if someone comes to me and says, well, there's a hate crime, I don't know what are even the questions unless I go one at a time. So if you think about a form, right? If you say, you know what, Dr. Khan, these are the questions we ask on a form, then that's good enough. I can print the form, but there's no way I can print the form out because the way the form has been set up is you must answer question 1 to see a question 2, and I don't get why. Now, maybe the first question I do understand because it says, are you free to share this? If you're not free, then call 911. But once I'm free, then all the questions should populate. And the reason, Jennifer, that is really critical is some of our community members are not native to English speakers. And I have to share with them what the questions are going to be about. And if I don't, then it's one by one. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I brought this up to my own commission as well, because you're talking to ethnic commissions and we are the South Asian commissions, and yes, there are people who are much more fluent in English than I am, but we have to recognize there are people who are not. And what means is, I don't know the hesitation of the state, not the OAG, but the state not moving to Microsoft Forms, where you can translate the entire form in almost a lot of languages, European languages, South Asian languages, and this one doesn't. So that's the other problem that I have, is even if I'm able to print the form in English, they have to rely on me to translate it properly in their language. And then if that is not my native tongue, then I'm not going to do justice. And even you know very well, translation loses one thing. So that's my first point, is to improve the form itself. I love the questions on the form, but it is not up out there. So I will allow you to speak because I do have more questions to ask. So go ahead with that one.
All valid concern. So part of our reasoning behind those first three questions was to make people take a moment and think if they need to contact 911. So that's why those first three. After those first three, everything should pop up. We didn't use Microsoft Forms. I was not the technical development behind this, so I can't speak to that, but I can say that the form itself, and I'm going to share my screen again to show this, can be translated into other languages. So if you see this default language up here, these are the 11 most commonly spoken languages in the state of Maryland as of our last census.
And how many of them are South Asian languages? Because that's the concern I have, is Microsoft Forms has far more South Asian languages. And I think it's not OAG, it's the state it has an issue with everything being Google. And, even right now,
well, we work under Microsoft and all of their products and my office. Not all of the Office of the Attorney General does.
Okay.
It very much varies, and it's something I run into all the time. Okay, so I do understand.
Yeah, so that was a first question, which is the stumbling block for us. Yeah. The second one, I think you covered it really well on your second slide itself. And, and a person who's well-versed understands the difference between a hate crime and distrust, but an average person doesn't. So an example, and then you alluded to this, but I think it needs to be repeated, because I will tell you, I hear this almost weekly about the perceived hate crime by law enforcement. And when I talk more with that person, it's usually the distrust in law enforcement and not a hate crime of a result of a law enforcement. And I don't know if there could be a better definition on the OAG website is what truly defines a hate crime and what isn't a hate crime. And the reason I bring that up is I think if I did my research well, about 2 or 3 years ago, you had about 450 reported cases, but only about 100 were verified. And the reason I bring that up is, which means is about 350 cases weren't verified. And those people who submitted those cases lost the faith in OAG, even though it wasn't the hate crime case to begin with. But from their perspective, it was like, oh, so my case is not worthy of OAG to pursue. And it's not that. It's the fact that you're right, you're following the law, that it doesn't arise to the level of hate crime. But look at from the perspective of a community member who says, we submitted 5 cases. And guess what? They were not verified. And they will translate that verified to mean not worth it, or not to wait to pursue an action on it. So I think that's the second stumbling block I've heard from the community who have submitted cases and were received not verified. And I think there has to be a better, and I don't know how, I think you guys do community outreach very well, but I think there has to be better work done on just that. And I'm hitting law enforcement because that's where I hear issues predominantly at.
Absolutely.
But that's the second point I want to bring up. Yeah,
I
sorry,
will
go ahead.
note, we do not write that report. That report is not handled through our office. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that is, we've had a couple of discussions, and I will bring back your concerns to see if there's any recommendations we can make on better language usage so that those are not how people feel that this is being handled, because I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And so my third request, and again, this is new to all of us, I think, is I was part of the FBI Academy in January, I think, or February, I forget when it was. It was like a 6-week thing. We had to go to the FBI Baltimore, and it was an eye-opener. And when we look at a hate crime, we, generally speaking, even us as the commissioners, don't really look at cyberbullying as a hate crime, whereas FBI is telling us that is a lot of cyberbullying, text message harassment, and online hate are on the rise, and yet people are not reporting it, and they know it is on the rise, but they're not reporting it. And it is up to the OAG to get that reporting out there.
Yeah.
So when we look at new types of biases out there, I think it would be nice to know on the OAG website that the people can go to and say, hey, yes, bullying is wrong, but there's a fine line between that bullying turning into a hate, especially in cyber world out there. We know in cyber world, they're happening there. I will tell you, I see this almost daily on Facebook. And it's not just political bullying, but the political affiliation, it is racial bullying out there. And I hate to bring this up, and I know I'm on recording here too. So you know what, take it for a grain of salt, what I'm going to tell you right now. Just the fact that you had one of the members, I think Chaudhary, who was suspended and reappointed because of that person's view on the Israel-Palestine issue right now, puts off people out there completely. And there was a ton of bullying happening, but I don't think OAG got any one of them, not even a single report of that there. And it was, I think this is OAG internal matter, political tension, I think, to bring that up. But I will tell you, as a result of that, the amount of crap that I got to see, and the amount of crap to the point of that this is just not person's view, and I'm going to attack you, but I'm going to bully you. And I think for me, it wavered to the line of hate crime. And but again, when we look at hate crime to us means completely different. And as South Asians, I will tell you, a lot of us take far more punches than we need to. And I think that is wrong. I think as commissioners, we are to do the justice to make sure everyone is treated equally. And as Governor Moore said, whom we support and are appointed by, is that we leave no one behind. And someone who gets punched every day, day and night, on just having a view, I think that's the cue. I know there's a difference between the freedom of speech. I get that. But if I share you the amount of cyberbullying I see towards the hate crime, and I know the FBI tells us that's hate crime, but nobody reports it out there. So I think there has to be a better education on that. So I will leave it there. So these are the top 3 concerns. But I do want to let you know, again, I'm going to end with what you guys do a phenomenal job of what you do. And we thank you for your work. But I think from our community, there has to be more requests out there. I think no, it's never enough.
I appreciate that, because I'm very proud of our work, and I'm also very much aware that there is always a ton of room for us to grow. So thank you. I completely understand where you're coming from, and I also second the fact that we don't necessarily think of online activity as rising to the level of a crime, and it can get very ugly on the internet.
Great. So Fahim has his hand up. So Fahim, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just gonna give a few cents on being in law enforcement and assigned to investigating these kind of cases. A lot of times I had opportunity, since I was the only Muslim America in the police department. A lot of times, police don't believe the victims. The police department actually will do whatever. They'll spend more time on finding the victim case unfounded versus actually helping them. And a lot of times, like the officers have, they're biased. Like, just I don't look Muslim, but one time we had a case incident where they asked me to come in just to be the Muslim liaison whenever the police department feels like using you, but of course not paying you for it. And the detective was like, did she pray to Allah? And I was just shocked. I'm like, only if he knew I'm Muslim, you know? And a lot of times they will go, like the supervisor will go as hard as they can to find the case unfounded. And they give the victim such a hard time that the victim stops cooperating. And also at the same time, there's a lot of fake cases, you know, just because people's feelings are hurt, they want to make sure to get the other person in trouble. But when it comes to law enforcement, they're like, oh, we need proof. Of course, the victim's not going to have body-worn camera footage on capturing. And talking about feds, hate crime, they're not interested. Feds are they're good at just talking, giving presentations. They never will take any low-level hate crime because for them, it's not worth their time. Those prosecutors think they're God gift to this earth, not unless they take a case which is going to promote them. They're not going to take it. They can talk all they want. It's a federal crime. Good luck getting an appointment with the prosecutor. Like, hey, I'm bringing this case. They're like, handle in court, regular level. And by the time you give the victim such a hard time that they're not going to come to you. They're like, listen, you know what? God created me this way. I'm going to get used to being abused, you know? So that's kind of want to give my, the things that I've seen while working in law enforcement.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, so I think now next I raise my hand. So first of all, Jennifer, welcome. And I think I'm not sure why we waited so long to get you on here. I think this is just a wonderful forum, and I think very, very, kind of with the community's sentiments. And Fahim, thank you for sharing your experience from the law enforcement side, and Dr. Khan for just from the community side sharing this. And I think that's what makes this South Asian community very colorful, and because we got from different religions. I myself come from the Sikh faith. We have people from the Hindu faith, from Buddhist faith, from all different faiths. And I tend to agree with what Fahim said, and also Dr. Khan, that and one of the things we realized is also till somebody doesn't get hurt, it's not considered a hate crime. And I think that at that point, sometimes it's too late, because it's just kind of gets to a point where people are just so offended. I have so many, we go to these community dinners with friends and all that, and a lot of time people just say, hey, when I was standing at the gas station, this guy came up to me and said, get out of my country, what are you doing here? They'll call you a few different names and, things like that. So in situations like that, what advice should our community give to these people? Should they take a picture of the person, take a picture of the car, and then report it? And if so, then what action does your teams take? Because obviously, if you heard what Dr. Khan said and also Fahim said, seems like whatever is reported, only like maybe 1/4 is just kind of investigated or taken care of. So, when it comes back to somebody who's really felt hurt, and you just get this email that says, hey, you know what, but unfortunately, there's nothing we did about it, or there is no verification. So how do you, what does your department do to go and really, actually comfort them, talk them, and counsel them? I think that would be something that would be, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So first, on why we collect reports of non-hate crimes, hate incidents that don't rise to the level of a crime, is so that we can start to try to develop those policies and figure out where we need to focus to address hate. It's part of the reason we have things like the Restorative Justice Committee, where we're focusing on non-legal reactions to incidents of hate, to help promote that healing and to also make sure impacted parties and victims get the help that they need. If somebody contacts our office and it's not rising to a criminal incident, my first reaction, whether it's a criminal incident or not, is going to be, hey, you should contact local law enforcement. Because the only way to get into that state report that somebody brought up earlier is to report to local law enforcement. Currently, that's part of why we're also looking at other reporting mechanisms for non-criminal acts of hate. If somebody contacts our office, the other thing that I often do is I have worked a lot on our resources page to help identify local community groups, to help identify, I know the pro bono counseling program is on there, so I can help walk folks through that and trying to identify what may be useful in actually recovering from, or at least learning to live with an act of hate, especially those incidents that happen more often that don't rise to the level of a crime. I've recognized those are far more common than is ever talked about in any official report, because a lot of people get very used to it. Sadly, that is a fact of life, and you're not going to report all of them. It is still in the report if it's reported. Law enforcement should take the report of an act of hate, whether it rises to the level of a crime or not. That is part of our current statute, and that is why that is why I encourage folks. That is where those numbers come from, the 400 and something from a couple of years ago. It was over 900 last year. We are working with local law enforcement to make sure they understand their responsibilities around that. We're also working to make sure that if somebody reports to local law enforcement, they also know what other resources are out there. That's usually where I focus on, is you do need to report to law enforcement. Here's what happens if they take the report. Here's what happens if something goes wrong in the process. And here's your local community groups. Here's the pro bono groups that can help you. Here's legal resources. One of the things that I'm really big on is that not everybody can or should handle the support in an act of hate. It takes a community not only to help somebody recover and hopefully heal, it also harms the community, which is why all of us need to be involved in supporting each other. So that is why I developed the resources page the way I did, and also because then it's available to everybody, even if they don't want to talk to me. Because I recognize that I am some person with the state government, and people don't necessarily want to talk to me. They don't know me, and that's fair. So any resources I give are also available on the resources page on the No Hope for Hate portal.
Great. I think Fahim, you got your hand up first. I'm not sure, but can you go first?
Sure, I'm just gonna make it quick. A lot of the police department, just so you know, they don't title the hate crime as hate crime. Especially at the department that I used to work for, they used to name the title suspicious condition, and they keep it unfounded, which the victim doesn't know that a victim gets a case number, not until if the person constantly calls and keeps on checking up on the status. That's when the case actually, they update the title from suspicious condition to actual hate crime. I'm not sure. That's something that you guys might want to keep an eye on, because a lot of the department wants to keep their numbers low. And if something is not making too much noise, they don't want to look bad in front of the community. And when it comes to weekly stats and stuff like this, the way how they protect themselves is by just documenting the incident, but not titling it properly. Like Baltimore City, apparently their crime rate is down, but trust me, it's not down. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. And it is something we are working on, at the very least, making sure we started a baseline with defining hate bias incident in law, working on this law enforcement training portal, and then we can continue to work from there, because we are certain everybody will start at the same place.
Okay, Dr. Khan.
So, Jennifer, I'm in higher ed, and I'm
Mhm.
also the chair of the education committee of the commission as well. So it's a double whammy for me to speak on this part. I'm sure you have heard about the Salisbury incident, right? The Salisbury
Yeah.
University incident is a major incident that happened. And two things I found that were gapping holes. I think one where OAG can help out, and one perhaps I'm going to challenge us all, the commissioners, to say it out. I think is so. Number one, I think OAG, and I know you guys are stretched with funds too, but I think every agency is going to be stretched for funds, especially this year. We don't know whether we're going to be called back in session in October or not. At the federal level, we know what's going on. But I think there has to be some funds delegated or manpower delegated between the Office of OAG and partnerships with schools and colleges. Because I will tell you, one of the things we did a survey of our community statewide, that was one of the things we didn't ask them about the hate, but we did ask them about the bullying and not belonging, right? So we know when someone doesn't belong, it's not because someone doesn't just like you, that someone just hates you. So that's one. I think there needs to be a stronger partnership, and I will open the door by saying is if I can help something for that partnership with Carroll County, you have my number. And if you don't, Chair Takar has my number. If you don't, Christina Poi has her on her speed dial. So I'm available, and I think that's our role to help the state agency. And you're listening to us, but please know where we are your resources as well. So I'm looking for partnership. Now I'm not going to be as well versed as you are in OAG, but you have the resources, at least in Carroll County, as a part of the South Asian Commission, to partner with schools and colleges. That's one. And I think the second one is perhaps less to you, but more to my fellow commissioners, is I think we have to be stronger with our words. And I know we have said that there's no home for hate, but that doesn't mean anything, especially what happened after Salisbury, nothing. But I remember what the mayor of Salisbury said. He says, there's no home for hate, get out. If you're racist, get out. And I think that's the message I want us to be saying out there. It's not that there's no home for hate. Well, so what? But to tell the person that if you have hate in your mind, get out of here. And I think that's loud at the face of the person. And I think I love the mayor of, and by the way, I don't know what his political affiliation was, but I latched onto those words. The word, if you're racist, get out of here. And I think that's more than saying no home for hate, because we know there's hate. So I think we have to come up with a stronger wording than that. So it's good, but I think the strength in words matter. When people speak, that matters. But again, that's less for OAG. This is more for us as commissioners. I think we have to be stronger, careful, because we do represent the governor's vision. So we don't want to be saying get out to everybody else out there. So we have to be careful. So I think I'm going to check at least 2-3 of my fellow commissioners before I say this. I'll just make sure Chair Takar gives me the permission to say that. But I think the stronger messaging needs to be said. And I think that messaging from the mayor was really powerful. But just an FYI for you as well, too.
Absolutely. And I will also say, I am located in Baltimore City, and I will be the first to recognize that y'all are, and anybody is, the experts in their own community. And I greatly appreciate the help that we get from our communities. And I'm happy to help where I can in return. That is part of the reason I put my email in that slideshow, is if there's ever a way our office can help, or even just provide definitions and be a resource, that is what we're here for.
Great, thank you. I think this was a great discussion. So moving on to our next agenda, unless somebody has any more questions, I'll give it about 30 seconds.
Did we see Commissioner Sushma's question in the chat?
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah. So Commissioner Sushma said
She answered it.
Okay.
She did answer it herself
Yes.
too, right? Yeah.
She answered
already
it
knows,
in
so
time. Sorry.
Sushma, look like you have some experience with this. So do you want to shed a couple minutes of your experience with this, but it says if it's technically not a crime, it's still in the.
Oh,
it's,
no, I was just wondering because some things like bullying in online is not technically criminal. So how, like, that's why I was wondering if you're getting messages like that, would it be reported somewhere? Was my question. And I like the fact that you have the website set up for to take the information. And I almost feel like it might be just pushing everyone there is the best way to start. So that way it's recorded there first and put into the report rather than at the law enforcement office. Does that make sense? Because how do you know that somebody will follow through and make the report there? So that's just why I was wondering if it was reported in the report, even if it wasn't technically.
Yeah, and actually on that note, since our numbers, the stuff that comes to our office, you made this point of like, how do we know that people follow through? I don't. I'm not going to harass somebody to report to local law enforcement. That's not my job. My job is to give you the resources, and to explain how this process is supposed to work. So the way that we do accountability and visibility for what comes into our office is I'm continuing to develop the data, and we share it in our annual commission report, which is not the same as the state report, because we don't investigate a lot of these incidents. A lot of these incidents are handled at the local level, but we share broad stroke information. I've gotten this many reports from this county. I've gotten this many reports in a certain month to show the trends that we're seeing. For things like this, and I hope to develop it more in the future.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for your insight, Jennifer, and I appreciate you being on this call today. It was very insightful and a great topic to talk about. You know, we all kind of have questions about it all the time, and I appreciate you being on the call.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here, and please, nobody hesitate to reach out if you ever have any questions. Or if you ever need help in figuring out something to do, or if your community members need help in figuring out what to do. That is what we're here for, and that is my role.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is Commissioner event check-ins. And what this particular item relates to is if you have attended any events in the last 3 months or 4 months, or any other events coming up in the future, if you'd like to talk about it, if you'd like to share it with this community so that others can attend. So if somebody has anything, please go forward with it now. Yes, Sushma.
I apologize. Christina, I was supposed to send you a little paragraph about the Asian Health Fair. But right after I spoke to you about it, I actually contacted them and told them, you know, I wanted to invite our entire commission, and unfortunately was told that they won't be having it again this year. First time in 17 years. It is due to many of the funding cuts, not only within what they receive, but also with some of the other organizations that they were working with, and how they were told other organizations were told that they didn't want to do something that might be considered maybe a DEI initiative in order to or some type of, so they continue getting their funding. So that was kind of why it made me really sad, because that was just such a wonderful event last year. So many people, like the way University of Maryland used to send their dental students to conduct dental assessments, they would have local hospitals. I mean, it was an absolutely amazing event. And I know that we have our health committee, and if there's something that we can do where we can get them together or somehow work together on keeping this alive, I think it's something to look into. Or even, I know we were looking to put forth some type of event, getting information from the community might be a great idea, because they had it down to a science. It was absolutely a phenomenal event.
Just to let everybody know what Commissioner Sushma is talking about, this is the annual health fair that the Asian American Center of Frederick organized with the partnership and of many other organizations. Excuse me. And they would have volunteer translators there as well, interpreters of many different languages. Excuse me again. And this was free. And so they had lots and lots of different organizations. Excuse me.
I think just take a breath, Christina, just give it a minute.
So it's sorry. So it's really, really, really unfortunate. This was really a huge, probably one of the biggest health fairs that I ever attended, and I've gone many years. And this past year, I wasn't able to make it, but Sushma and one of our commissioners on the Asian Pacific American Commission, they went and they came back just really so enthusiastic and raving about it. So unfortunately, but you can still put in your report, Sushma. I'll still collect that for
Okay. It was
Okay.
17 years, and some of these people came every single year, and this was the only medical checkup and that they had. So it's really sad to see it go, but yeah, I will definitely
Sushma,
put it in the report.
But can I add one thing? This is Ahmed Nawaz. I
yes.
think, Aman, we had this conversation of conducting a health fair this year, which I think healthcare committee is looking into it too, along with ADG on mental health. I think this was a topic which we were picking, and we are in conversation with the American Diversity Group to conduct a fair, but more related to mental health. And hopefully we'll be successful of getting it done. Just wanted to put that on.
And
And ADG was actually one of the participating organizations of this health fair, but this was the one that was organized primarily by the Asian American Center of Frederick.
Okay, wonderful. So hopefully we'll do something good this year too.
Yes, indeed.
And I told them that I would try to reach out and connect you with them just to see what they do and to see if there's any way that somehow we can connect.
We definitely can, actually, because last year, APNA, this is an all Pakistani physician organization, collaborated with the ADG, and we are doing consecutively 2 years now a health fair with them at Montgomery College in Silver Spring. But this time we were kind of brainstorming to do on mental health more than the annual checkups. So they're very well organized actually at Montgomery College. Dentist comes, dermatologist comes, gynecologist comes, and it's more of a counseling and a dental health checkups. They organize very well for last 2 years now. This year, hopefully, we'll do in our mental health section.
And I'd like to add this, Sushma, if you have what kind of agenda they were doing and what their format was. I mean, if you want to share that with, Dr. Bandari, he's heading the Health Commission, and, we could see if, maybe not to that level, but if there was something that would just, maybe in term, because I know he was planning to do some kind of a health fair this year for the commission also. So if that could somehow be incorporated into, the Frederick area or something like that. All right,
Thank you.
great. Okay, so anybody else? Give it about 30 seconds. All right, then we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is
There is a hand up, Chair.
There is. I'm sorry, I didn't see it because it seems like my screen. Okay, there's two actually. Sorry about that.
Two hands.
Now I will, Dr. Khan, I'll let Archana go first, so. Okay.
Sorry, Dr. Khan. Yeah, so I attended 2 events. One on behalf of our commission. One was the sari walkathon organized by ICA, Indian Cultural Association of Howard County. And they were doing this walk to raise awareness about the hunger in Howard County and awareness about the outfit, the Indian culture outfit sari. So that was one event. And then second was another walkathon that I was also part of, organizing committee, walkathon organized by BAPS Charities. We had Christina Poi who came, and then Aman Shergill came. And then we also had Dr. Yang Yu who came to support. And we were raising funds for Bellsville Fire Department. We had over 550 participants, walkers. So that was a good event. So 2 events that I attended in the last 2 months.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Khan.
So, Chair Thakkar, this is not related to Commissioner's check-in and events, but I would like to take some time to talk about us as a commission to have a meeting that is perhaps zoned in on what are the events we are going to do next year and plan the dates for those early and in advance as well too, because there's Diwali, Vaisakhi. I know we are going to do a business conference, but I think it would be critical that we spend maybe the first meeting we come back from the summer back and really work out those events in advance. So just an FYI, I don't know if you want to talk about that in the future events section of the agenda, but I think that's really
Sure.
critical for us to just really have a good grasp on what we want to
So
achieve.
just,
because-
yeah, so sorry, not trying to cut you off. I think if you look at the, there is a time, I think, where we can kind of during the closing time and all that, we can bring these concerns up. Right now, if we can just stick with the, these current events, it's just probably that's what I was instructed that, that let's stick to that. And then, we will have that opportunity to any comments, anything like that. We'll take that during the closing, remarks where people will have time to talk about things like this. And I really appreciate this feedback because I think it's a great idea, and anyway, so we'll talk about this, and I'd really like to get your input on that, when we go to number 10 and get a little bit more, information on that. So I appreciate that. Sushma, do you have something else you want to say?
Yep. I also just wanted to say that Commissioner Preeti and Preeti Menon and Christina and we also attended the Asian Heritage Month in downtown Frederick, which was also absolutely amazing. So I will say the Asian Center of Frederick does a phenomenal job with a lot of the things down here. And so we're very happy to have represented the commission and present on behalf of the governor a proclamation. So for Asian Heritage Month, but I just wanted to put that in, that another event that we attended.
Great. Thank you.
I also attended one event with Christina at the Howard County Montgomery, the fire department. And we did give the proclamation at that time too. So.
And actually, Vice Chair Nawaz was the featured speaker at the Maryland Department of Transportation presenting the governor's proclamation for
Yes,
Asian
please.
American
Department
Pacific
of
Heritage
Transportation.
Month.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you for correcting.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
Wonderful. That's
How did he
great.
get selected for that role?
Well, I asked for volunteers and he
Yeah.
volunteered.
By default,
actually-
it falls back on me. So.
No, it's true. No, that was actually that time. Dr. Nawaz actually, made time. I requested him also because unfortunately, there was not that many volunteers, and so thank you so much, Dr. Nawaz.
No problem.
Appreciate all you commissioners, doing this and keeping the South Asian Commission in front of everybody. And I know Aman is, quiet, but I know she's done a lot of events. But I appreciate all you do, Aman, also, and everybody who's been attending. And I know I'm a little guilty of not really getting too much into some of these events, but I'm going to definitely be, more active on my end also. So thank you for that.
And I will just add, especially since excuse me, Commissioner Fahim Rafiq asked, how did Dr. Nawaz, how did Vice Chair Nawaz get selected for that? When I put out the emails for volunteers, if you volunteer, you too could be be one of the next speakers. I wanted to bring up that there were a couple of us who went to the Nepal International Film Festival of Maryland, and that included Commissioner Fahim Rafiq, Commissioner Aman Shergill, and Commissioner R.T. Bhatt. I did ask them to come up and speak with me, and all of them declined. So I had to call them out and give a shout out to them while I was on the front stage. But I did get them all to at least stand up and share their smiles in representation. And then we all shared momos.
Okay, good. Nice. That's great.
So
Yep,
anyway,
that's what we're
just
going to
want to
do. We're
let you
going to
know.
have some fun in the commission too. So I think it's a
Yeah.
great way to, sometime connect at these events and just.
And Commissioner Bashal Bandari went the previous year. Unfortunately, he was out of the country this time around, but at least we had some of the other commissioners who were there to represent. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, that is the commission business, and that's the old business. And these all now, instead of subcommittees, they're all going to be called committees from here on. That's the new way of addressing the committees, and all the leads on the committees are going to be kind of the ones who will be bringing up all the new issues or any new developments. So starting over the business and economic development, unfortunately, Obaid and Faisal, they were not able to make the meeting, but I did get a quick update. There's nothing new to report, so we'll move on to the community, which I might move to the last because Aarti said she might be able to join, so I'll give it a few minutes. And then I'll just lead it on to Dr. Khan on the education and the social work for development. Dr. Khan, can you give some updates?
Yes, please. Give me like a minute because I'm going to share two files. I've already done that on WhatsApp, but since WhatsApp is not the official channel, I want to put it out here as well. So our committee met and we tried to dissect the about 250 responses that we got across the state. And it was it was an interesting time. It was, by coincidence, was the time when we all received an email from Sherry at GOCI that they were looking at legislative proposals. And I sent the legislative proposals out to Sherry. I copied Preet, Devang, and the Vice Chair Nawaz as well. But I also sent, for transparency purposes, I sent it to all of you on WhatsApp. I know it's unofficial channel, but that was just an FYI. However, I think it is critical. At that time, I had mentioned to Preet that at least there should be a voted item on the by the legislative proposal. There were three proposals that I had sent out. Two of the three had to do with what our committee had done, but the third one was my personal one, so that had nothing to do with either the GOCI or the South Asian Commission. But and at that time, I didn't ask Chair Takar to really call a special meeting for this because the deadline was July 1, and I think July 28th, I forget. Don't quote me, but it was somewhere at the end of June, and I only had 2 days, so I just submitted whatever I had. So the first proposal is a spin-off from what Devang's work has done in either Montgomery or Howard. I forget, Devang, I apologize. But it was for statewide. And the first proposal is to have, I'll just read it out to you, is to have a South Asian American Curriculum Development and Implementation Act, which is creating and promoting a K-12 curriculum units across Maryland Public School. I think Devang's proposal was in line with that. I don't think Devang's proposal was for Howard, but the second proposal, I think, which Devang had mentioned to us was where Delegate Wu of either Montgomery or Howard. I'm sorry, I don't remember people's delegate areas anymore. It's just too many of them. Was to have holidays, and then Delegate Wu had called a meeting and they had testimonies and that there. But because of what we heard from our survey, which is the South Asian community who responded to us directly to the survey, the second proposal that I submitted which was to have an inclusive school closure act, which is to recognize Eid, Diwali, and Vaisakhi as official holidays in all Maryland public schools. So this is expanded from Devang's a county to the whole state there. We put those three South Asian holidays because that's what our community members heard of. So I apologize if you are heard that another religious holiday was not put out there. It was just simply we are the voice of the community, and that's what they told us, and that's what we submitted. What I did tell the committee at our meeting was we know anecdotally that there were more issues and there are more holidays that they would like to be off at, but it is, I think, up to us to tell the community that they need to speak up, write to us so we can be their voices. We cannot work with anecdotal data. So just those two. So Chair Takar, with that information, I will leave it to you and Vice Chair Nawaz to either do a block vote or do vote by vote, but allow people, if it motion carries through as a second, allow people to have a second. I'm sorry, allow people to have a discussion on this matter because it's not a done deal because we would like to hear the commission's view. And that's why I wanted to bring that up as a voting item. On behalf of the Education Committee, and there are awesome members who have done an amazing job on that committee.
So to understand that, so the first one that you want to vote on is basically the item of having a curriculum for the schools.
Yes, it's yeah. So the proposal is a South Asian American Curriculum Development and Implementation Act. If you notice, I chose the word that are legislative friendly. That's their lingo. So that's why it's called South Asian American Curriculum Development and Implementation Act, which is to create and promote K-12 curriculum units across all Maryland public schools. We kept Maryland public schools because we didn't know how much reach does the state of Maryland have to the private school systems. We know that Maryland public schools are funded by the state. So that's that was the there. And then I put a document on the chat. There's a proposal rationale as well.
So why don't you propose the motion and then we can have everybody kind of.
So Christina, is it, I don't know the Roberts rule, is it for me to propose that motion if I am the author of the document?
You can have somebody from the committee.
Okay,
from the
committee
Education
members.
Committee.
I'll
Come on,
do
committee
it.
members, I need someone. Help.
All right, I do it. I
There we go.
propose.
Okay, so Commissioner Fahim Rafiq is proposing a
He's
motion
putting the
to,
motion
The
forward,
motion.
right?
Yep.
Motion, right? Anybody second it?
I can second it.
so Commissioner Fahim Rafiq made the motion and Commissioner Aman Shergill second the motion. All in favor, say aye, raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, so the motion is passed.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. The second motion, I will say this very strongly, that Devang has done a lot of work, and I think this is a spin of Devang's work. So, I think I want to say this openly and publicly in an open meeting, that we are latching onto Devang's ideas here, but we are expanding it statewide. So that doesn't mean that Devang and the committee and the delegate who shouldn't do their work. I don't know how much traction this will gain because, to be honest with you, if they couldn't get a gain of traction at the county level. But I will have a soft ask if this promotion goes through, is we, the commissioners, do talk to our delegates across the state here, because I am telling you that these are not just our ideas, these are our community members' ideas. So the second motion is.
So can I suggest something, Dr. Khan? Why
Sure,
don't we then
please.
let, because,
Exactly. I would like
let
Devang to speak.
Devang propose that
Yes.
motion and let him, maybe that may be, if that's okay with you.
Yes, and actually, I was going to say that to you as well too. That I would love it if Devang is still with us. That if he's agreeable, that he is the one who puts the motion forward. But I will just simply say in terms for the public record, the proposal title says Inclusive School Closure Act, which is to recognize Eid, Diwali, and Vaisakhi as official holidays in Maryland Public School. Devang, if you would do the honor for the entire Education Committee.
I would, I ask that motion to be, vote on the motion for the motion.
I second it,
Anybody's-
Devang.
So Commissioner Shah passed the motion and then Archana seconded it.
Yes.
Anybody, all yeas, please raise your hands.
Can you specify what the motion is for so that it can be easily recorded for the minutes?
The motion is to have a holidays statewide for Diwali, Eid, and Vaisakhi.
Thank you.
Any nays? Great. Thank you. Dr. Khan, anything else?
That's it. Thank you. And thanks to my education committee. And again, Devang, thank you for perhaps catalyzing that idea to go for us to go statewide with our community members. With that, our committee is going to meet hopefully once the summer is over, and we are going to look at what are the resources we can bring, what are the resources that our community members are asking for, and bring it to commission to see is how can we provide those resources. So our next committee will be spent on, okay, we have done this work, but what can we do with our connections and provide resources, whether it's like online Zoom meetings or something resources where we can have some information there. With that, Christina, our committee did have a question is, how fluid is our website on the South Asian Commission? So for example, can we have state resources that benefit our community members on the South Asian website, the South Asian Commission website?
Yeah, so if you want to put together like a list or a PDF, or if you have written materials, documents, and things like that, they can be shared.
Okay, so we will. So thank you. Our committee will look into that.
Okay.
Chair Takar, thank you so much for giving us the time.
Thank you, Dr. Khan. Always insightful with your commission. You always have a lot of things. You've taken a lot of initiatives. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the health. Dr. Bandari is not here. Dr. Nawaz, would you like to, add something there?
No, like I mentioned, actually, Dr. Bandari was also planning to do the health fair arrangement, and I just already discussed that, and hopefully that'll happen this year.
Thank you very much for that
No
update.
problem.
Okay. So I think the next step would be like with Dr. Bandari to maybe put some dates together, and then let's mobilize all the resources and anything the commissioners can do to help.
I would like to bring one. I don't know whether it's the right platform or not, but I think it's a community issue because healthcare providers are part of the community. And this was brought to my attention, and I just want to make a statement. I don't want any actions on it. But when state gives a contract to a third party for Medicaid payments, unfortunately, third party is putting delays on medical payments to healthcare providers. And that complaint came to me, and that complaint came to me from an institution too. I did escalate that complaint to the state level, and they responded very well. I want to commend that actually. but I will highly recommend because physicians are part of our communities and they run
Right.
a small businesses actually in the state. And if Medicaid doesn't pay them in a timely fashion and in a prompt fashion, then unfortunately it's a cash flow issue and running a small business becomes very difficult. And most important thing, which I want to put in the minutes, is that we take care of the vulnerable people. And if physicians stop accepting Medicaid, it's going to be a huge problem. So I just wanted to bring to our minutes. I guess I don't know whether it's the right platform to discuss this or not,
Well,
but I think it's something states really need to pay attention when they're giving contracts to the third party for payment perspective, that the physicians, healthcare providers are timely being paid.
so Dr. Nawaz, to follow-up question for that, how do you think that this commission can support, or do you need
I
us
mean,
to mobilize some local
personally,
local providers and get some
because
petition signed or something? I mean,
that
is
is
that
true, actually. That is true. Because right now, if you ask me, University of Maryland has already been involved in this process from Maryland Physician Care. And there is a company called CareLawn. CareLawn is a company who submits the payments, actually, the third-party company on a basis of Medicaid to healthcare providers working in the psych healthcare systems. And they held the payments for a long period of time because the fee schedules were not attributed to the physicians. And how do physicians know about it? We don't know. We are submitting the claims and we are not getting paid. So the Shepherd Pratt psychiatrists complained about it, actually. They were not paid. And we were not paid. A lot the other physicians approached the same. This conversation happened actually at ACO and CTO levels. And I just wanted to bring to attention that whenever we are giving contracts to the third parties, the state has to be mindful of it. That's what. So you tell me how to approach it, Pri,
Sure.
and we can approach accordingly. But I will commend one thing: when I escalated the complaint, responded very fast, and the health secretary responded very fast, and CareLawn CEO gave me a call. And but I just want to put a process in place that we should not go through this issue down the road whenever third party gets changed actually by state. That'll be my comment, please.
No, that's a very valid point, and appreciate you bringing it up. And I think if we need to mobilize something, if we can maybe then put some kind of a plan together, and we can.
Absolutely, I can.
Yeah,
I can actually. Then we can submit it through the health committee.
correct.
Okay.
That should be something we should look at. Yes. Thank you very much,
All right,
Dr.
that's
Nawaz.
fine.
And
Thank you.
Aman,
Thank you.
sorry, I know you had raised your hand, so would appreciate if you could.
I was just going to add, we do have a message from our health committee chair. He's saying that he will be working on the program details, and he will email them to yourself, co-chair, and other members this weekend. And then he would like to request a committee meeting early August. So it's just a heads up to keep eye on your inboxes.
Great. Thank you very much for the message. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so moving on to the legislative, Devang, can you please take that?
So I think Raza basically talked about what we were proposing. One of the things I want to talk about is that we did initially want to do this statewide, and just a matter of tactics, and Delegate Wu and Senator Clarence Lamb and some others recommend that we start with just Howard and Montgomery County. And the reason for that is we wanted to just codify or make into law what was already practiced in those two counties. And right now they're voluntarily making those days a professional day, and they wanted us to codify it so we don't have to go back to them every time and then work from there. They didn't think people from Baltimore, delegates from Baltimore City or Baltimore County or some of the other jurisdictions, Eastern Shore, Western Maryland, that are don't have large South Asian or Asian American populations would be agreeable to this. And then the whole point of making it just for students had to do with the budget. And if we created it as a holiday, there's a cost involved, and anything with a cost with this previous budget session was not getting passed because of the large deficit that they had. And the fact that in Maryland, you have to balance the budget, unlike the federal government where you can have a deficit. Here, everything had to be paid for. So probably not the best year to bring this forward. We could, if we'd done a couple years earlier with a different group, when you had some surpluses, you probably had a better chance. But we're going to try again next year, and I think we need everyone's help on this, and we need to start earlier. But next year is an election year, so it's a good time to bring this up because they need our checks. We've talked about that many times, and they need our votes. And what you also need to do win elections is ideas. And these are our ideas. And without our ideas, they don't want our ideas, they don't get our checks or our votes. That's the way we have to approach this.
Okay, well, thank you for that insight. Now, one thing I know you said, like have it as a professional day versus a holiday. I mean, what is the difference? I mean,
Professional day is that the students get a day off, but the teachers, administrators must work. So there's no cost to the school system for that. Okay. A holiday means everybody gets off.
so
And then
is
there's
that like an optional kind of a day you could take off, or
no, I mean, it's everybody gets it off. Whether you're,
everybody gets-
these are days, professional days, also South Asian students, non-South Asian students all get a day off. A holiday means all students and all, teachers and all administrators get a day.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, I'll go back to the community commission, and I think Aarti doesn't look like she was able to make it, but I know Aman, you and and also Ms. Commissioner Takar, she's also part of this. Anything you guys can shed any light on that? I guess, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was passing it over to Anchana if she had anything.
So, Archana, are you still there, or you're on mute?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here. But yeah, like Aman said, we haven't had any further discussions about any upcoming events and celebrations. But I do know that our next upcoming event will be Diwali, but we haven't started preparing for it yet. So we will do that soon. I'll reach out to Aarti, and we will discuss further and keep you guys posted next meeting.
So just a couple of things to piggyback on the Diwali event. If number one, if we could kind of somehow finalize a date, and I know that we've asked for the governor's house this year, and Christina, I don't know if there's been any update or any movement on that, because I know that was something we talked about.
Gee, I have a question. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I have a question. What commission was that?
I'm sorry. What?
It's
Community.
committee. It's
What
committee.
Committee.
I'm sorry. What committee?
That's the
was-
community
Community.
committee.
Okay, community. Thank you.
Is Christina still there?
Yeah,
Did
I'm
we lose
still,
her? Oh, okay. Yeah, so I know, they were requesting the governor's house. I mean, is there anything, that this committee needs to do to put in the date and request, or what would be the next steps? Because I know we have talked about this before.
so what we had talked about was having like a range of dates, 1 or 2 dates to work with, and then also what type of agenda would you have if there's going to be a program, or if this is just a reception, putting together a briefing, basically,
Got it. Okay.
and that would be helpful.
So Archana, would you please take that up with Aarti, and if we could do that, maybe this month, something would be really great, and we can present it to Christina and go from there.
Yes, definitely. So we will discuss and then we'll get you that information. But it would be really nice because last year Diwali celebration was done outside in Prince George's County. So
Yes.
this year, if we can do that at the governor's house, that would be really great. I think we talked about it was like alternate year you can have it or something like that. That kind of guidance was provided. So we're hoping that this year we can do it at governor's house.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Khan?
So please don't take this as any thought that I want to join that committee. But my question is, I've been to the government house 2-3 times. If there's a thought to having performances or food, well, food I might be okay with, but if there's not any having any performances, there's not that much space in that place to have performances. So something will have to give, and something that we'll have to give is perhaps reduce the number of participants. So just an FYI, but please don't take my thought as my interest to join the committee. I think my hands are already full as is. But Archana, if you can take that back, I don't think there's enough space to do both,
I
to have
agree.
enough participants. So just an
Yeah.
FYI. I know there's that desire to have it there, but I think that desire might conflict with other things that you want to do for Diwali as well. So just
Yeah.
an FYI.
Yeah, so I have attended.
Usually for Diwali, it's the Diya
Yeah,
lighting ceremony. So it's not really having performances.
well, I think what Dr. Khan is referring to is last year we did have some performances and stuff like that, so that would be hard. I mean, I think that's
Right.
what-
Yeah,
No, I
exactly.
understand, but I'm just
Yeah.
clarifying that at a government house, like Commissioner Khan was saying, there's not that much space.
Right.
The space is limited, so you're either going to have to give on having a performance or less number of attendees.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So it's just things
yeah.
to keep in mind.
Yeah, so Christina, I have attended one Baisakhi event at Governor's house and then also Diwali. And what we had was just prayers. So no
Yes.
dance performances, but yes, Diya lighting, yes, of course. And then we had some prayers singing. So for that we had enough space. So I think that can be accommodated. But
Exactly,
we definitely
that's-
can't have dances. Yeah, not enough space for dance.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yep, I think this is all good information. So yeah, we'll look for more information, Archana, if you can coordinate that. Really appreciate that. So I think we're still on the topic, and so we'll move on to number 2, which is MD 250. I know we've talked about this many times before. This is the 250th Independence Day, which is going to be celebrated next year. And Maryland is hosting a bunch of events. There's also a website which actually gives details on MD 250. And I think what I'm hearing now from the GOSI staff and also from Reverend Walker and Christina is that we need to start kind of organizing ourselves in that direction to see what we're going to be doing. And I think we've talked about it, but unfortunately, Aarti is not here, so I think she had done some work on it, and we talked about it. But so I guess is there anybody else who can shed any light on this? If not, then we'll have to right now pause it. But I think what we got to do is we got to really maybe have the community committee get together and start do a meeting for this and start to reorganize and organize ourselves so that we can have everything kind of laid out and kind of present something to the GOSI so that we can kind of move forward for next year. Because time is going to go by very fast. So anybody has any comments?
Chetika, this is Raza. I had a question rather than a comment. We know that the state is going to have a very hard budget crisis. We still don't know if the Senate chair is going to call this a special session back in October. But regardless whether he calls it or not, the next year fiscal budget doesn't look promising. Do we know anything from Executive Director Larry Walker if there is the stomach to have MD250 as a grand events or to perhaps tone it down to meaningful events? And I say that because right now we are also affected by what the federal government is doing. So right now, yes, we had a lot of events where they are looking at colleges, there are grants by the state to bring back federal employees back to education. The teachers' grants are there. But if you've not heard recently, 1,700 people lost their jobs in the State Department. The Department of Education is going to be cut severely. If that happens, then the state has to pick up all that funding. And the Fed has already had a hard time giving the funds to the state. Money doesn't travel easily. So my concern or my question is, do we have a better, clear picture based on what the projections are fiscally and how broadly and how, well, we should do MD250, but how extravagant we have to be in our event, or there might be just zoning in to a specific area.
So just a couple of things, and in fact, Commissioner Shergill has put it in the talk in our talk also, is that I think the idea is to join the local county events, and then Christina, you can probably give us a little bit more insight if there's any like specific state events that would be happening, and how the participation will be kind of requested and how we can coordinate that.
So I'm going to try to answer Commissioner Raza Khan's question as to whether this should be something grand or something more substantive and meaningful. And I would say, and also looking at Commissioner Iman Shergill's message in the chat asking, can we see what's happening in each county and join in? So first, no, this doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be an event. This could be a project. This could be, yes, it could be something you look into what the county is doing and join in, sure. This, again, how do you want to celebrate Maryland? As a citizen, as a resident, how are Marylanders celebrating our state, right? As we are Marylanders. So think of it in those terms. You don't have to put on a big, expensive, grand event. Make it something that to showcase something in your county, and again, we can partner. It doesn't have to be just the South Asian American Commission. Think about it outside the box. Don't think of it as just, oh, we're gonna have an event and we have to get sponsorship and we have to get performers or speakers. That's not what this is about. It's about celebrating Marylanders. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to move you from thinking of it as an event, but more as maybe kind of a project, perhaps.
I am.
Yeah, so to that end, because I was also thinking it doesn't always have to be about money. And this is just thinking out loud. So we could do something as a commission, but why don't we do something commission wide so all the other commissions are involved as well? And if we focus on 250 being on the ground in the community, there's lots of opportunities. So maybe we want to think about sponsoring kids who can't afford to go to summer camp. There's lots of fun educational camps out there, because I know I'm hosting one this year and there are a few kids that are homeless. But they really would like to be at the camp. So I just reached out to people asking them, would they sponsor them? So that's an easy thing. So we could even do like a meal train for 250 families. But I just think if we focus on leave no one behind, there's lots of different ways that we can actually explore without having to, like Christina said, make it an event where we have to get sponsorships and we have to do XYZ. But I would like to be involved in this because I'm actually quite excited about this. So once we have a team together, we can share some more ideas and thoughts and bring them back to everyone.
Absolutely. And I think, and that's why I think it's important that a community commission like kind of gets together and starts to like float the ideas. And Christina's point, I think definitely it's basically showcasing your culture, your history you can share. There's so many different ways to do this. And it doesn't really have to be a sponsored event. This is definitely going to be all volunteer, and people have to just come forward to celebrate the independence and also the state of Maryland. I think that's the whole purpose of this celebration. And Archana, can you please share your comments?
Yes, so I like Aman's idea, and I also wanted to suggest something that how about since we're celebrating Maryland and citizens of Maryland, how about we still do something via our health committee that we aim to collect maybe 250 pints of blood, because blood is always needed. So, we can maybe plan each county, like have a blood donation drive in, major few counties and aim to collect 250 pints of blood. And that's, we can partner with the hospitals, Innova or any other organization. They can come and collect the blood. We are just, doing the outreach, making sure that the people do come, show up and donate the blood, and they see the purpose.
Absolutely great comments, great ideas. I think we now just need to put it on, some kind of a format and then start, working towards it and use all our resources, and everybody kind of contributes to help with their resources and try to make the best out of it and make it a success from the South Asian Commission. That'll be great. So let's start to put something together and call in a meeting on that and, figure it out. That'll be great. All right, now moving out to public announcements, actually to the new business. And I would like to propose that, we put the old business and new business as just commission business, because I think a lot of the stuff is already discussed in that one, column. So Christina, what do you think is the best way to do that?
Proposing it as just business?
Yeah, it's like, commission business, there's old and new is pretty much discussed in, I think unless somebody has something new to discuss, I think it's pretty much, everybody's pretty much given the comments in the previous, section, so I don't know.
Well, we're just going by the format that we have for the commission meetings and following Robert's Rules of Order. If we do have them combined as one section where we have the old business, because we want to follow up on any business that's been started in any previous discussions and meetings, and then any new business. So I don't see saying we're going to combine them. We're already kind of in that manner right now as it is. So if I would just say at this point, is there any new business, and allow the commissioners to bring up any new business at this point?
Sure. So I think, is there any new business anybody would like to bring up?
Mr. Thakur, I just want to reiterate what I had said earlier on, and I want to take the advantage of the new business here to perhaps look at a commission meeting that is dedicated solely towards planning events for the next year. That might include, I will leave it to you and Vice Chair Nawaz to decide how we want to conduct that, but I think it will be beneficial for the commission. We are shrunk by 7, we are down to 15, which means is if we do what we have done in past year, we are going to be stretched very thin. In MD 250 coming up, we are going to be stretched very thin. However, we are South Asian Commission, so I think we should have the same energy and the zeal to do some of the events, perhaps not all the events, but some of the events. Them to 250 will take some breath away from us. So I think it would be beneficial if we plan much ahead. I know we talked about, I think Archana gave insight about Diwali, but I think it would be beneficial for us to perhaps come up with a 1-year plan and then maybe have like early deadlines. So if we can have the next meeting just solely on that, plan it well, and then report back whatever channel you want to have it through official channels, so we know what we are going to do next year, because we are 7 down, and that's a substantial number we're down by. So just an FYI, I would like not this meeting, but the next meeting, or if you want to call a special meeting, if it has to be called a special meeting, let it be. But that's just my request based on what we were able to achieve, which is amazing, but it did stretch us quite a bit.
We're actually only 6 down, just.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6 down. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. 6 down. Thank you.
So Dr. Nawaz, any comments from you?
Dr. Nawaz has had to leave the meeting.
All right, so yeah, I think Commissioner Khan, I think I agree with you. I think it's important we have advanced planning on dates and everything. But you know, in the past experiences, what happens is, you know, venues and things like that that we talk about, you know, it just kind of takes a long time, and the closer you get to the events, a lot of those things come together, unfortunately, during that time. But I totally agree. We should definitely have a lot more planning on that. And I think next year, if whatever events we plan to do, I think we can include the 250 agenda into those, you know, kind of to celebrate the 250 years of Maryland and the independence. So I think it's a great idea. And then I'll probably, Archana, if you can work with Aarti to see if we want to call a special meeting, or if you guys are comfortable enough to, you know, kind of take it through without having a special meeting. And Christina, you could give your, you know, comments.
I was just going to comment that the next commission meeting is September 10th.
Correct. Right. So I would leave that up to the, you know, community commission to make that decision if we need a special meeting, and I'll be happy to call it, you know. And point well taken, Commissioner Khan. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, and also
So I think we should leave the new business in there. I like that.
Also, Chair Takar, I think because we have MD 250 coming in, and I think there will be some voices and some recommendation to join forces with other commissions or the interfaith, which is not part of the Ethnic Commission, but the Interfaith Council. I think it would be prudent for us to reach out to not just our friends in the APA Commission, that we have the our Asian American Heritage Month coming in May. I think we should definitely do something, because that is our month. We have to do it, and we should not let that pass go by. So for me, it's not about the dates, but it's about the commitment as to what our commission would like to have done. And then what a part about MD 250 can be rolled into 250. And I think I would leave it to you and Chair Nawaz to have perhaps the side conversations or official side conversations with other commissioners to see if they want to join forces, because the more we join forces, I think will help a mutual benefit. So I think just our friends with the APA, but I think that the commissions as well. So if that is something that perhaps by September, if you can kindly find that out from other commissioners, if they have the will and the desire to join forces, then maybe we can go with a full-fledged. And then, yes, you're right, the venue, the dates, and then if the governor and the LG is available or not, or the secretaries are available or not, that's a secondary. But I think we kind of have to know what we want to plan out, especially with the MD 250 coming up there.
I agree. Thank you. And next year is also election year, so it's a lot of, you know, moving parts. So I agree with you. You know, there's a lot of things going on in our state, so we've got to be mindful of that. Great. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, public announcements. Anybody have any announcements they would like to make? Okay, moving on to closing. Personally, I'd like to thank everybody who's attended today and anybody who couldn't make it. I totally understand, things do happen, but I think one thing I would request is that, once we get an email from Lisa, I think we should respond a little bit sooner and register, which is very helpful. Because, even today we were struggling with if we have enough commissioners to really make a forum. So my only request is if everybody could be mindful of that, it would be very helpful. Other than that, I would leave the floor open if somebody has to say something before we go to join the meeting. Okay, looks like there's no other comments. So I would like to have somebody propose to join the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Great. All yeas.
Commissioner Raza Khan made the motion and Commissioner, sorry, was it Archana?
Nivea Ori.
Oh, sorry, Nivea Ori. Second the motion.
All yeas, please raise your hands. Any nays? All right, great. So everybody have a wonderful evening and thank you for your time. It was a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good
Bye.
night, everyone.
Good night.
Great.